departmental reports. 4A is the Police Chief Department Report, December 10th, 2018 through January 7th, 2019.
Mayor, Councillor, I also want to welcome Walt and congratulate him.
Thank you, Liz.
Grew up with Walt and known him all my life, and
Yep.
appreciate your input. So,
Thank you.
seems like it was 3 months ago that we did shop with the cop, but I got to tell you, it was absolutely wonderful occasion. We raised over $2,000 and were able to help 11 kids. And the smiles and the hugs that they gave us were absolutely heartwarming. One little girl came and gave Kathy a hug and said, "This is the best day of my life." So it was really, really a neat occasion, and something I'd like to continue on in the future. So our new squad car is in operation. We got all the bugs worked out of it, and the guys really seem to like it. It's real roomy and just a really good vehicle so far. So we did sell the Charger, like I mentioned last meeting, and moved the truck as a spare squad car, and I'm driving the Tahoe now. We did compile just kind of an end of the year report like we do every year. It's over 2,000 calls, 2136 calls for service. A big number, we had 40 felony cases, which is a lot of felony cases for a small town. One good thing is our drug cases have gone down. I think the effort that we have put into those in the past has really paid off. Again, if we hear of a problem location or somebody selling drugs in town, we hear about it right away. So we're able to work on those very quickly, and those numbers have gone down, which is great. So mileage on the squads: the Ram pickup has 131,000, the Tahoe has 79,000, and the Ford Explorer just has about 1,200 miles on it. Did charge out a homicide case, first homicide we've had in many, many years in town, and that is a drug overdose death that we were able to file for prosecution on. So 19 gross misdemeanor calls or cases, 106 petty misdemeanor and misdemeanor cases, 11 juvenile misdemeanor and gross misdemeanor cases, 17 search warrants, again, which is a lot for a small department. And I tell you what, the officers work very hard for the citizens. Not only just the calls that we have, we just do a lot more. You know, we're really here to help people and to problem solve and to build relationships with the community. And I tell you, today is Police Appreciation Day, and First National Bank brought a big banner down to the police department with 12 of their staff. Everybody wrote a little thank you note on the banner, and then brought a bunch of treats down, and just was just very happy with having a police department and just the job that we do. We work hand in hand with many businesses to try and make the community safer, and I think it shows. In addition to that, we had several people stop down to the police department today and just to say thank you. And I tell you what, in this day and age in law enforcement, that's very heartfelt to hear that, because many times it is a very thankless job. So I think that's about all I have in my report, if there's any questions.
I'd like to read these two notes that were in here, if you don't mind.
Oh, please, yes.
This is Moose Lake Police Department Facebook Messenger, 12/17/2018. I wanted to send a message of thank you all in the town for the Shop with a Cop program this year. Our oldest, Michael, signed the family up for it on his own, and I was shocked when the school called about it. I was further shocked when our family was included. The department has made a very rough time of year special for once, and I greatly appreciate that. Bobby also told me about the gift card to Marketplace, which is given to her by Sergeant McNulty. I find this especially heartwarming considering her situation. I wish I could have been there this afternoon, but you all know how sleep deprivation and the night shift work. I know our family has not been the perfect model residents of our community, but Sarah and I thank you all. Andrew Smuda. And there is one more a thank you card, and I can't read the name on the bottom, but it says, I want to send out a great big thank you for all the hard work and dedication that you all do. On December 17th, Shop with a Cop was amazing. You protected while you gave our amazing foster children an even better Christmas. This will be their first real Christmas in many years. Merry Christmas on behalf of the, and I don't know what family that is, but can't read the bottom.
They wish not to be, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very nice, and thank you, Bryce, and please pass it on to the whole crew. It's doing a great job this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you
appreciated.
very much.
Public Works Superintendent report.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Walt, welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Get started here. The water department distributed 3.1 million gallons drinking water in the month of December. It's water main break season, and it's starting. It started yesterday, so we're in the swing of that. We'll touch on a couple things to do with that here in a minute. Sewer department, we collected 11 million gallons of wastewater in the month of December. We did have a December discharge of 24 million gallons of wastewater. Flow meters are scheduled to be calibrated, I believe, next week. Both the mag meter at the lift station and the open channel flow meter at the Windermere flow station. Street department, everybody knows, snow, ice, it's here. Nobody's happy. Trust me, the plow drivers aren't happy either. Everybody I know, everyone's driveway gets plowed in, and I'm sorry, but that's kind of the way it works. It's not any more fun for us than it is for anybody else. So, I apologize for any inconveniences we may have caused anyone, but that is part of clearing the streets and making them safe for everybody. A couple other things I want to touch on. The work at the shop, we're moving right along. Sheetrock is completed. Taping and painting is completed. Electrical has started. The heat is expected to go in next week. The couple items we purchased at the end of last year, the pickup broom, that is on order. The skid sprayer, that is on order. That actually that got delivered to Duluth today, so I'll be going to pick that up here in the next day or so. And then I'm like a broken record up here, but frozen water and sewer lines, please look up our policy online. If you don't have access to it, looking it up online, get a hold of me, get a hold of City Hall. We will get you a copy of it. Like I said before, we don't like this any more than anybody else. So please, let's all be proactive at that. And it's easier to catch it up front than it is to try to play catch up. So we are seeing frost depths of over 30 inches on the road. And I did have a frozen water service today, actually. So it is starting. So please look into that. Any questions, please call. Please do. We will try to steer you in the right direction. Like I said, no one likes this any more than we do either. So one thing that I think you, Tim, and we talked about, with this ice the last couple days, we got a lot of phone calls for sanding business lots. We didn't get any for driveways, but a lot for business lots and a lot of areas that we don't normally sand. It was kind of just a decision to go do it as we had ambulances going all over the place and people falling all over the place and trying to make it safe. I don't expect anything tonight, but I think in the future we need to look at some sort of policy, whether we do that or we don't. It doesn't matter to me one bit whether we do or we don't. But I think it is something we should have in place. If we do, this is how we do it, and I think we need to find a way to recover some of that cost. The day of the event here just this last week, I mean, we used 125 tons of material, and that's crazy. That's a lot of dump trucks, and it costs a lot of money. And if it's a service that we want to provide, that's great, that's fine. If we don't and we want to charge for that, that's great too, but I think we need to have something in writing so we have something to fall back on. It's probably a lot to dig into.
I'm glad
right
that
now.
you did what you did and went ahead and gave that service to the community, and that's something we will have to look at.
Yes, I think that's something that's happened over the years is when we get, especially these more ice events that sometimes they're hard to deal with for businesses and residents, and so the Public Works crew can resolve some of those issues. So there's two basic ways that I think that we can think about this, and one is that a lot of these places are where most of our community is going, whether it's gas stations, grocery stores, the post office. I mean, they're very, very public locations where, I mean, we don't want to see people slipping and falling. The second way to think about this, however, is that we don't do this for residents. We don't have the staff or the equipment or anything like that to go salt everyone's driveways. It's not something that anybody is paying us to do. However, these are businesses which are for profit and make money and are able to pay people to maintain their lots. So I think it's kind of a tricky situation. I would say that I would probably agree with Phil in that I think probably the best way to move forward is to try to just pick a dollar amount for that service. It doesn't have to be huge, but I guess I have a hard time thinking that we are providing a service to businesses that are for profit that we cannot and would not offer to residents, even if it is for a good reason.
Basically, I'm just looking for some protection here for the city, for my department, for everything. I think we had 18 sites we hit that were, I mean, on top of the sidewalks and the roads. These were 18 other calls to do this. And Ted, like you mentioned, yeah, I mean, I think it was to the point where we just had to do something because we had people falling and accidents and people doing whatever. But we had a situation like this last year as well, where it was just solid ice and it was dangerous for everybody. And like I said, it doesn't matter to me which way we decide, but I would like a little bit of backbone here, and a little bit of direction as well, whether we do or we don't, or we do, but it costs this or whatever, just so we're all protected as a city and a department.
Have you, Mr. Administrator, have you two met and discussed this at all as far as price?
Oh, as far as price?
Price? Because I think that it would be nice to, because we have a fee schedule for other things.
Yeah.
Add that and then the council could approve
and
that.
that's what we were talking about. And didn't we talk about price? Yes. I think it's hard to, one of the things that happens is it depends on what they're doing. So sometimes they just drive through, like drive into the lot, drive through where people walk, drive right back out. Not a big deal. If you get to like a church or something like that, you might be doing a parking lot. If you get to a bigger gas station, it might be something larger. I think.
Well, like the clinic and the hospital, I think of them right away.
The county actually takes care of
They
it.
did them?
Yes, they do. And they always do.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
That's the other thing that we talked about, is that this is something that counties do for residents, is plow and sand, and they charge for it. They do it for residents, and you have to sign up to be on the list, and it's a way to recoup some of the cost. And they have the understanding that these people would not be able to get this done without their help. It's just at the same time, it's not free to run out and do that for everybody.
I was going to have, in new business that's coming up in the meeting here, I was going to be covering some things about sidewalks and stuff like that, which is kind of relates to this. As part of that was wondering, is there sand available to the citizens? Say like the citizens could get like a 5-gallon bucket once a year or something like that for their own residential sidewalks and things like that. I know other cities do have a program where each residence is allowed to get like one 5-gallon bucket of sand from the city to use on their sidewalks and areas that are slippery. I was wondering if Moose Lake would be, interested in doing a program like that, or if there's a large cost to that. Obviously none of that is free, but if some of the residents had their access to that, they could sand their own sidewalks in their own areas like that, and it wouldn't be such of a, you guys wouldn't be going out of your way to do the work yourself. Maybe you could find the residents to do some of that work for us, like they should be doing anyways. I don't know if there is sand available like for that or not
All our material is stored at the state garage.
at the state garage, so
Yep.
it's all under that. You don't have your own personal.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yeah. It's not financially feasible for the city to have a salt shed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Are you looking for something tonight on this, or are you looking more for direction till we do?
I think for tonight, it would just be something to think about. Whether or not you guys make a decision, if we get a ton of ice, we'll probably continue doing the same thing that
That's what I would
that
suggest.
we
We
do.
continue supporting the community until we
But
have a time to make a decision as a council.
I do think that in the future, we should consider charging something for it.
I agree.
All right, so that'll be something we'll have to look at.
Perfect.
You two will have to meet now that there's no
Thanks for
street
bringing that up, too.
department committee.
We're gonna have to meet?
I don't know if we can do that.
Okay, that's all I
All
have.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And thank your crew. I know that you guys have been super busy.
Absolutely. A lot of snow plowing, thanks. Moving on to 4C Technology / Library Report.
Nothing new at this time.
Very good. The position is out for
Posted.
bid.
Yep, and I would certainly suggest anybody listening, if you know anybody or if you are interested, please apply soon.
For the library director position.
Correct.
Where all is it posted?
And the Star Gazette and the Evergreen.
And the
Facebook started-
league
Is that Everly?
and
Evergreen.
ALS is the Arrowhead Library System. They send it out to all the library systems that are, it's like the League of Minnesota Cities, but for libraries, and like the Liquor Association that I can never remember the name of, but for libraries.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good. When does that close, just so you mention it? Well,
I think it's next Friday.
okay. Any questions, discussion on technology and library report? Again, just for technology, that position, which is, what are we calling that? The
Public Access Coordinator.
coordinator, which we will be advertising.
Mhm.
All right, 4D, city engineer.
There's a few things that I'm going to talk about elsewhere in the agenda, so I'll just talk about one on here, which is the capital improvement. It's listed as project. That's the road capital improvement list. They came with maps with ratings based on their pavement study that they did with Phil, and then they also came with utility maps. So there's a map for water that determines whether the size is correct, water breaks, all of those things, and then another one for sewer. Did they have one for storm? No? But we talked about storm as well, and trying to include all of those things in the CIP. So we are moving along with that, and we'll have it done shortly. Not done. They were going to bring it here for the council's review and input prior to having it done.
Correct.
So we will probably extend that.
All right, thank you. Any questions on the engineer's report? Hearing none, moving on. 4E, Chamber of Commerce updates. Thank you, Lois.
As it was mentioned, we have our chamber meeting tomorrow, and we'd like to welcome, well, Ted isn't officially elected to the board yet, but his name is on the list of prospective directors. and Walt will be welcoming you just to be a representative of the city. And Saturday evening at the Sioux Line Event Center at 6 o'clock is the annual meeting and dinner for the chamber. Should be a fun event. There's always lots of prizes. Last year, I think there was only one person that didn't walk home with a prize. And our next event is the Ice Bocce on February 9th at City Park. Starts at 10 o'clock. It's a Saturday. So I'd like to invite everybody to come, and it's been reported that's a pretty fun event. I don't go there and get out on the ice, but it's like a curling out on the ice, and they have a good time. Any questions?
Thank you, Lois.
Thank you.
City Council could put together a team. No? Volunteer?
Yeah.
I'm not a city councilor, unfortunately.
Well, we invite you to join in. Moving on to number 5, previously discussed business. 5A, the 2018 flood, is that correct?
Yeah, that one, we are still waiting to be reimbursed for the Class 5 material. And other than that, we're kind of on hold till spring.
Council, questions? None? 5B, Historical Society financial statements and proof of insurance.
Yep, at the last meeting, we had talked about just receiving a financial statement from the Historical Society and ensuring that they do have coverage up at the depot. So in the packet on page 39,
It's 42 is the insurance.
yep, 39 through 42 is that information.
Very good. Questions by the council?
None.
Moving on to 5C, Arrowhead Transit Rider information.
This was another thing that we had talked about at the last meeting, was just trying to find out some information about ridership with Arrowhead Transit. It is more than I thought.
Quite a bit.
And I guess I'm glad that we got this report. If I would have known that it was this many people, I probably would have pushed even harder. I mean, I'm glad that we approved it at the last meeting, but that's a lot of people.
Yeah. Just for November, 82 for the month.
Yeah. I mean, 875 people used this last year. That is a lot.
I have a lot of people recommend to me that we keep that. When I was out campaigning, there's quite a few people that
Yeah.
said that they do use that.
Yeah. Great.
It's nice. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? None. 5D, detective appointment.
So we had passed the MOU for the detective position or detective appointment previously. It was posted at the police department. We had one applicant for that appointment. And just to be clear, I do not want you guys to approve the person. This is going to be an appointment by the police chief according to the MOU. And the reason that we are doing this is because in the future, we are not saying that this is an ongoing have-to-have position within the police department. Jamie Jungers was the applicant and is absolutely the person who should fulfill that role. Should he no longer be with the police department, we might revisit that appointment. So this is for the chief to appoint as a part of his management duties.
What do you need from the council at this time?
Just to be aware that,
Informational and,
not to step on your toes, but I'm assuming you are or have appointed Jamie to be the detective.
Yes, sir.
There we go.
so it's been done, so
You guys are
and, congratulations to Jamie Jungers. Thank you.
And again, this is not a new position, this is just duties.
Right.
Filling a
Right.
duty
Yeah, it's not
that, right,
Position.
Right.
That was a question some people had.
okay, thank you. Any questions by the council? None? moving on to number 6, new business. 6A, Moose Lake Power request for electric fast charger location. And I think that's on
Yep, page 44, I think. Yeah, 44.
43.
44.
Oh, there's 2, yeah, there's a, excuse me, you're correct.
Where's she left?
Wow.
The power company has for about a year now been looking at purchasing and installing a fast charger for electric cars. We have a few of the slower chargers, just the normal rate, where I think it takes like, say, 4 or 6 hours to fully charge a vehicle. These would do it much faster. One of the locations, or the location that they are asking our opinion on right now, is kind of laid out in this map here. That's the Muni parking lot, and off to the side, that entrance where the electric car charger box is located, that entrance is no longer there. So basically, it wouldn't be in the way of anybody trying to drive out. Do you want to see? So it's a fine location as far as, I would say, traffic. The only thing that I guess I would say that we would be concerned about is that because it's on our property, we would want to make sure that insurance is all taken care of, and make sure that there's some sort of safety feature of not driving through what amounts to be a very, very, very expensive piece of equipment. I would also, I have suggested to them that they pave spots for this. I'm not sure kind of how that would go, but basically they are looking for feedback from the city council on that location.
I don't have a problem with that location. I know that that's normally no one parks there.
Yeah, you should think it would be
For
open
sitting there, it's fine.
most of the time.
Just that you have to put enough.
Snow removal is the only thing that we'd have to make sure
Drive
it's
on it.
moved over, which you seem to do anyway, so. Consensus?
Yes.
So the only other location that we had really gone a little bit further down the path of was the trailhead for the Munger, where there's the parking and the kind of the kiosk over on Industrial. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes.
Behind Arts, on the other side of the ditch from Arts. Or no, it's just right behind there. It's in this picture as well. Which I guess we own that parcel as well. Would you guys have any issues with that location? I'm not sure why they may have already dropped that one off, but that was kind of another one that we had suggested as well.
Well, are we doing this for anybody driving through for the purpose of being able to, or are we doing it for the purpose of our citizens?
We are not doing anything. To be clear, we are not doing anything. The purpose of this is mostly for people driving through. So when you put a fast charger into your community, you get put onto these maps that people with electric cars have. It's kind of a big deal to be able to go from the cities to Duluth. It used to be kind of touch and go whether you could make it or not, and as more of these get along the way, it makes it easier to travel farther, obviously. So this kind of puts us on that map for people traveling, that along the I-35 corridor, they can stop into Moose Lake. The nice thing about putting it in the Muni parking lot is that we get the side benefit of, if you park your car there, you might just step inside the Muni and shop at our store. On the other side, you might not do that. But we had kind of wanted to get it. We didn't necessarily want it right on the off ramp. With the thought being that would lead to people not really traveling into the community. And the Economic Development Authority had kind of talked about this as well, as try to bring people into the downtown rather than just on the off-ramp. So both of those locations would suit that.
There's restaurants close by too, so that would be nice if you're getting sales tax and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're good with either location. Any comments back to them or recommendations or anything like that?
I think the Main Street, or coming off Arrowhead, is the most beneficial.
Okay.
Probably easiest to find also.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Moving on to 6B, liquor store part-time employees.
My note is in here. That doesn't really help. But at the liquor store, we have talked for a while about hiring some additional part-time staff. In my conversations with Elaine and kind of putting her in that interim role, she would like to hire a few part-time employees to fill in shifts. Nothing, nothing that with that many hours. So the difference being is that we do have a couple roles within the city where we allow managers to hire very part-time or fill-in roles, and that's kind of what I'm requesting here, is that we allow her to hire a few fill-in and very part-time employees.
I think we also have a letter farther in where someone is resigning from their position at the
Correct.
liquor store.
3 to 4 days a week, so she is a pretty significant part-time person.
Yeah, I don't know that she's looking to fill that for sure quite yet with just one person necessarily.
Just so you know why, one of the reasons she's asking.
I guess,
Oh, council?
I guess for me, go ahead, sorry.
I think at the moment, until we get completely situated on how the liquor store is going to end up running and everything, I think it's a good idea for her to be able to make sure that the liquor store runs smoothly until that time.
Very good. Counselor Walter?
I don't know.
Okay.
My thinking on this would be that it would be an emergency hire or hires. I'd use that verbiage because when we know who the liquor store manager is, whether that would be her or somebody else, they may have difference in opinions of the hiring process. I guess I would use it as emergency hire. It's verbiage, but I think it's applicable to where we're at.
Sounds good.
Very good, thank you. Moving on to 6C, Safe Routes to School application.
On page 46 is just confirmation that we submitted our Safe Routes to School application. That is for $300,000, which would match with the $610,000 grant that we have already received. It states in here that hopefully by late February they should be letting applicants know the results of that funding.
Very good. Any questions by council?
What was the total that you put in for the grant again? I'm sorry.
It's up to $300,000, and we requested $300,000.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Moving on to 6D, primary and special election.
Senator Lori has been appointed to serve as the Commissioner of Health and Human Services for the state of Minnesota. Congratulations to him. That leaves an opening for that Senate seat for District 11. We will have to have a primary for the Democrat candidate. The Republicans selected theirs today, so there will not be a primary for the Republican candidate, but we will still have to have a primary on Tuesday, January 22nd, and then a special election on Tuesday, February 5th. And we will need to pay for it, and it will be here, and we are very excited about that.
It was January 22nd, you said.
For the primary.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you need any kind of motion or anything, or is this just informational?
No, legally we have to have
We
it.
have to have it, so it's for informational for the community and for the council. Any questions by the council? Hearing none. 6E, Chamber of Commerce ICE bocce request.
On page 50 is an email from the chamber president, Tia. The first, actually, the only real thing that we need to talk about is point 1 here, which is, would Phil be able to plow lanes on the lake for ice bocce this year with the Bobcat thing? Would he be? Yeah, he's really good with the Bobcat thing. However, I think it was you last year that had brought up the concerns with plowing lanes out there. Was it Chris? Was it
About the
Chris?
windrows and,
Yeah,
we talked
because
about-
of what happened years ago.
So I told Dusty had come to speak with me about this, and then I also talked to Tia about this very thing, and I told both of them I don't know what direction you guys want to go. So you need to decide if you are okay putting lanes, not don't worry about the fill aspect of it, but are we okay with putting plowing lanes on the lake? Last year when they did this, it didn't end up being that big a deal because we didn't have the snow like we have right now. I can't remember if we just didn't have snow or if it was just frozen out there, but now there would be considerable snow removal, I guess, or plowing or what have you. So I don't know what you guys want to do. I also don't know what happens if we don't allow them to. I don't know how to play ice bocce.
I'm sure you need ice, not snow.
That's kind of what I took it as well.
I don't have a problem with us doing it. I know what happened many, many years ago. The chamber, I think, got sued because they used to do the ice fishing contest, and a snowmobile on the lake hit one of their windrows, and I guess the outcome was they got sued because of that.
So I would say this is for sure not our event. We are not insuring this event. We do require that people in the community that have events have insurance, and the chamber does have insurance. I don't know that we would be held accountable. I just don't know how you guys want to move forward with it. Do you think there's any way that we could put a bunch of snow back? Where are the
If he
lanes?
moves it, if you move it, it's going to be at the end where the big pile is, right?
Unless we diverted the pile to a different location, I'm sure.
What I'm wondering is,
Just spread it.
regardless, I think getting the snow off of there is not a big deal, but I'm wondering is there any way to put it back?
I don't see the problem with it once it's gone.
Before I get-
You wouldn't have to put it, I don't see the reason to put it back.
Are we just
No
good with it?
problem.
If you pushed it towards the shoreline, like you were saying, I think then that's a moot point about putting it back.
Yeah.
Other than someone going down a little bit, you're not going to have the big banks.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could try marking it somehow with flags or with reflectors or something along that lines.
So I do want to be very clear about one thing. I don't want us to mark anything. If we get into marking it, I kind of feel like we're starting to take responsibility of this. I want, when we get to the second aspect of this, I would not suggest that we have Phil go do this. If you guys want to do it, can we do it? Yeah, I guarantee you it would take a half hour and it would probably be done. I don't know that we want to do that.
I don't have a problem with us supporting the chamber in their event. I think Phil knows what he's doing and can do it appropriately.
How much ice is out there?
Moving the snow towards the bank makes sense because there's already a bank there.
You put
I
that thing
just-
through. I'm gonna be mad.
And I guess and I don't have a problem with doing it either, and I don't have a problem with how we perform out there, I have a problem with what happens after the event. That's the only thing.
Right.
And because of the past That's why I directed.
Yeah. I think we're just clearing it. It is their event and their insurance.
So we're good with the event, we're good with having Phil do
Ask
it.
the council. Council?
I'll do it.
I think that if the chamber is paying us to do that, or paying us to do it, the city to do that, then they're responsible for what happens afterwards.
They're not paying us.
They're not paying,
I know
yeah, that,
but
Well, I'd like to see as many events in this town as we could possibly have, as long as they're safe. You know, if they were to do that, I would like to see them mark it somehow. The problem is during the day when you're going across the white snow like that, you can't see that bank up there, and that's what happened to that guy that was killed out there. So if, you know, it should be marked somehow. That is right where the main snowmobile trail comes onto the lake too, so I should think that there would be a lot of snowmobile traffic there in that area. And they're talking about putting it in the same area as they did last year.
I think so.
yes.
by the brewery.
I thought it was.
But I would like to see our town have wintertime events. There's not much going on during the winter.
Okay.
And I would not be in huge favor of us doing it. I think that I'm all for us. They're asking for an increase. I'm all for us doing something different, but I don't want this. Once we open that box, we are liable. I think there's plenty of business owners that have a pickup that could do the job.
That is,
I would actually feel more comfortable donating to this event
I would too. That's what I'm saying.
in order to have some, to have
So
somebody
that's our
else do it.
service. If they want to use it for plowing, then they should use it for plowing.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
That'll work too.
That keeps us out of it.
The
And
event
still
is coming
supporting-
up soon now, right, Lois? You gave the date.
I did tell her that I was uncomfortable with us being the ones to do it, and she thought that they could figure
Okay.
it out.
February 9th at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
So then we should make a motion that we would pay for the plowing? Is that what we're doing? A donation.
I think
they
we should
ask
just
it-
make a donation.
Did they ask us for money for that?
Yes, but it is not in there for the plowing.
Well, no, but they're asking for an increase from $800 for the 8 events to $1,000.
Well, why don't we do those conversations separately? I would say we would be okay. I can't imagine that it's going to cost, if somebody even charges them, that it would cost that much to plow this thing off. So why don't you guys make a motion that you are okay with them doing this, and that you are okay with us offering to pay for the plowing up to $100 or up to $50. How much is it going to cost to plow off some lanes? $200? Are you kidding
Let me
me?
ask you one thing.
I would say
Are we saying we approve them having it on the lake? Because that's DNR approval. The city has nothing to do with that.
Okay, so then we don't.
We don't do anything with approving the event. That's totally,
So then we would just contribute
Money to the plowing.
money to the plowing.
yeah.
Okay. Well, then don't do anything with this right now, and let's just move on.
Move on. Very good.
Okay.
6F, Chamber of Commerce 2019 Event Sponsorship Request.
So this is just as we did last year. They're submitting kind of their list of events for the year. I don't necessarily agree that we need to up the amount that we are donating to these events. I think that they make money off of these events. I think that the chamber is doing well. We would like to see the chamber do well. I'm not saying that I want to stop contributing. I just don't think that we need to contribute even more to these events. Now, there is one caveat, and that is that the 4th of July and Agate Days Stampede, we are now paying for garbage, which was how much?
Thousands. It was really, really high.
So if anybody would like to consider giving them more money, I would say we already upped our contribution to these events by thousands. because we paid for the entirety of that.
I agree, and that's why last year, I think the council approved that we said, give us the amount of the budget and we'll budget for it, because we don't need to spend each month going $100 here, $100 there. And I think they're asking us to up that, but I think you made a good point that we spent over $1,000 last year on the garbage for that event as well.
So Katie and I had talked last year, when we found out about the garbage. We found out about the garbage a little bit late, and to be clear, they are still donating a half. So they're still giving to this event. So just so that is known. But we had talked about maybe as a contribution to this event, splitting the cost of garbage or something along those lines. I don't know how I haven't brought that up to the chamber, but that is a lot of money that we are suddenly contributing to that event.
Yeah, but we've always been doing that.
No, the garbage was free.
Yeah, Nordstrom's always.
They did it for free?
For free, forever.
When they sold to Lance, he said, being a new business owner, that's a.
That's a change. Okay, so that is a change that we
Yeah.
ran into last year. And have we transmitted that to the chamber?
Last year, he came in like the day before Aga Day.
Yeah, I told the chamber that it happened, but I didn't think that it was fair to necessarily just push that bill onto the chamber. So
Glad you didn't.
we paid for it last year. I'm okay with that. But again, they're asking us for $1,000. I mean, we pay more than that just for Agate Days.
Right. And also these events, though, do bring in thousands of people. So, I mean, it is a tremendous advertisement for the whole city also. So it kind of changes on, I'm not so concerned if they have to pay for someone to plow those lanes. How many lanes do they do, like 5 or 6? Do you remember last year how many you did?
I don't think it was like tons.
Couple, yeah.
I mean,
So
to
it
be
comes
clear,
down
they
to-
make money off of these events, though,
So we're looking for a motion for what we have here in this letter.
or something else. But yeah, if somebody wants to make a motion on that, yeah.
We should be approving it. Council?
I guess I would make the motion separately on the ice bocce event that we give up to $200 for plowing for a donation.
Okay. Are we doing that separately, or are you doing the whole thing?
I think I'd do that separately, I guess.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Do we have a motion for the rest of the request from the chamber on all the events? Which I like that idea that you brought that up, Doug, a couple years ago, and I think it was a good idea. Instead of every month or every 2 months they would come back. To me, at first I questioned that, but I think it's a really good idea. Do it for the year.
I guess I would make another motion that we continue to give $800 to cover the 8 events, and with the understanding that the city will pick up again for this next year, not guaranteed further, but that we'll pick up the garbage costs. Was it for Agate Days?
And the 4th,
And the 4th of July?
can I make one thing clear? They took some event off. I don't know what it is. So do you?
Corn days?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. So there's only 7 events.
7 events.
Do you want to just give $800, or do you want to give $100 per event, or what?
I'd just give $800.
Yeah, okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do you have any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed? Motion carried.
Can I ask one thing? You
Yes,
did
sir.
say that we pay for the entirety of the garbage for.
I did for
Okay.
this year only, not,
Okay.
I'm not trying to set a precedence here.
Okay.
Is there a way that we could look in the future trying to get that cost down anyway, you know, I mean,
Oh, that cost is way down. Yeah, that cost is half of the actual cost of it.
of it?
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
He
wasn't
just- he
quite sure how
charged,
he was
yeah.
charging, you know,
So what he does for events like that is how many cans, how many dumpsters, how many pickups, how many, all of that stuff. And he gave us all of it and then very clearly wrote, divided by 2.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
So, yeah.
Okay.
On the next page, on page 54, all the events through the year that the chamber supports in the area, just for everyone's information.
It's a lot.
And moving on to 6G, Moose Lake Post Prom, it's on page 55.
There's a little note there says in years past we've given $300 to this event.
Yes, we have.
I make that motion that we give $300 to Post Prom, Moose Lake.
I'll second that.
Any question, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6H, Knollwood feasibility report, and I believe that now is due in February next month.
Yep. So what I put this on here for is I'm going to send. I already have the feasibility report. I'm going to send it to you all tomorrow, so that you have time to read it over the next month. Matt from SEH is going to come in February to present it, and I guess what I would ask is that within the feasibility report is a list of options of how to pay for this. The first being that the entirety of it is assessed, which would take a petition. The second one is that we basically combine to pay it with the city and the residents coming together to pay for it. And the third option being not to do the project the way that it's estimated in here, just to directionally bore a water line, which would be cheaper, but would kind of go against the plan for capital improvements in the city. So we probably won't even do anything in February, but you will have it for an entire month to review it and try to put together maybe some questions or something like that for Matt in the meantime.
Very good.
Thank you.
Questions by the council? Hearing none? No, thank you. Moving on to 6I, standards for small cell wireless facilities policy.
Yep, our attorneys, one of the things that we pay our attorneys to do is to make us aware of changing legislature that affects us. So they will send out emails and notifications to all of the cities that they have, that they are the attorneys for. And this is one of them, is that if we do not set this policy by, it doesn't matter, very soon, I think it's January 14th,
We're going to have it done.
then we lose the ability to set standards for aesthetics on small cell. So the first thing to note is that this is a policy, not an ordinance, which means that it's easier to change in the future. The second thing to note is that this is like the bare minimum. This is not, there's nothing in this policy that should really make anybody uncomfortable other than the fact that it basically gets us in before the deadline. So if we want to review this, make changes to it, we can certainly do that at any time, but we now have the ability to do that. If we did not do it, somebody could simply turn in an application, put up whatever they wanted, and do whatever they want, and we would have no say in that. So this just kind of gets us our foot in the door, says that we have some control over it, and that we can we can amend it later on if we so choose.
Thank you. Council?
So instead of, if I'm understanding you correctly, we'd be implementing city code policy 147, or as it is?
Just city policy. Ordinance 147 is our right-of-way ordinance.
Okay.
So our policy refers to our right-of-way ordinance, and this doesn't take the place of it. It just refers back to it. So there are some guidelines that already exist in our right-of-way ordinance that this refers back to. But this is just a policy on small wireless facility design guidelines.
I make a motion that we adopt the policy for the small wireless facilities design guidelines for the city of Moose Lake.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I think this is a good idea right now before that deadline, because some of the stuff that I've seen when the gentleman was here and talking about this, looking at it, there has been some real disasters putting towers in the blocks of communities.
Yes.
So I think this is a good idea, and like Tim said, we can go back and amend if we need to. But that being said, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. 6J, liquor store employee resignation, Marie Weber. And that is on page...
Not in here.
Not in here.
Just need to, she resigned yesterday. She's going to go back to school, so just need to accept that.
And you have the letter.
I do, yes.
I read it somewhere. Very good.
I showed you, yes.
Thank you. I am very happy. Do we have a motion to accept the resignation of Marie Weber?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Questions? None. All in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose? Motion carried. 6K, publishing city budget. Mr. Administrator.
Walt, did you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, the budget always used to be published in the paper, and I think one reason why it's not being published anymore is that we had two newspapers in town here, and then their publishers passed away around the same time, and it just never ever was published after that. We've had some new city administrators in over that time period too, and I'd like to see the budget, at least as much of it as we could fit into the newspaper, published. For one reason, it's the residents' right to know that I realize that they can go up to City Hall and get it, but it's just difficult to do that. They could probably look up some of it online, but not everybody knows how to do that. And I guess if the city's going to be asking us to vote on, issues that are hard and not like taxes, whether to raise them or not to raise them, I'd like the residents to have the information so they can see why we make these difficult decisions, so they can see what's going on in the city, where the money's being spent, how much, all those basic questions. And I think it would just help out the people understand why we do certain things, to know how much money the city does have, to know why we would like to raise taxes at certain times, say to fix certain things, infrastructure, be whatever it is. I just think it's a good policy to have for to see that it's in the paper, and I would like to see that done. I don't know if anybody else has any feelings on the matter or not.
Questions by the council?
Other than how many pages are you suggesting that we put in the paper?
It would have to be discussed with the newspaper, I imagine, to see how
That'd be
many
my
pages they'd like to
suggestion.
dedicate it. Before, I used to work with Skip Hansen and had the job of putting it in the paper. It could be quite lengthy. They always broke down the words to small print, You'd almost have to really look at it hard to read some of it. But, I don't know if they would be able to be willing to put in the whole budget, but I'd like to see how much they would be willing to put in and try to get in, the most pertinent information, the most serious stuff that's on there.
Yeah, I guess I can see us putting in some of those major slides that you have of what departments and what those costs are, increases
Two
and
major
decreases.
slides that give the whole,
I used to do like a 1 or 2 page one that was put in the paper in Proctor. Also, there are some, we have to do financial reports to the state that are, I think they're 2 pages long. I think this summary, like financial report for year end is right around 2 pages long. So there's some examples that kind of break it out, you know, something by like department or something like that. I think our budget, if we get much longer than that, you end up line by line, and it doesn't make a ton of sense, and it would cost a lot of money. So those kinds of line by line things, anybody would be more than welcome to come to City Hall. But I think more of like a 1 to 2 page summary of our budget, summary of maybe some tax rate information and things like that would be good.
why don't we do this one? Why don't you bring an example of that to the next council meeting?
Perfect.
And in the meantime, if, you know, the example that you bring an estimate from the newspaper, well, first if they will do it and the cost, and then we can present it and see if that's adequate.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Moving on to 6L, public sidewalk snow removal. I know we have an ordinance asking that the residents do remove the snow.
Yes, page 70 is the start of the ordinance, and the pertinent information is on page 71. It's number 1, kind of at the top of the page. All snow and ice not removed from public sidewalks 12 hours after the snow or other precipitation causing the condition has ceased to fall. And that's under the section 3, which is a public nuisance affecting peace and safety.
I guess I brought this up because I'd like to see, you know, Moose Lake is to be a year-round walkable, handicapped accessible town, which it is in many ways. But there are quite a few businesses downtown and businesses in other areas that do not shovel their snow on a timely manner. This year it has improved some. I did bring it up in the paper once when I was running, and I have talked to a few other people around town here about shoveling their sidewalks. But some of the businesses, when you go in and you talk to them about shoveling the sidewalk, they just say, well, it's not my job, so I'm not going to do it. But it needs to be somebody's job, and it needs to be up to the property owner or the landlord to see that these sidewalks are being shoveled, especially in the public areas, the businesses. It says here to be shoveled in 12 hours. I would think for businesses it would be common sense to shovel the snow as soon as you go in there in the morning and throughout the day. At the theater sometimes we do shovel the snow 3-4 times a day. A lot of the apartment complexes in town haven't been shoveling. There's snow. Sometimes you'll go talk to them and they'll say, well, I have a renter that's supposed to be shoveling that snow. And sometimes that renter isn't like physically capable of doing it for whatever reason, or they're just not doing it. But we can't have people, you know, walking around downtown here, and especially with all this ice that we have, that's another issue. You know, snow is one thing, ice is a whole different thing. Let's see here. You know, and fire hydrants should be shoveled out too, actually, for the residentials. I think it would be a lot easier to get the public businesses to shovel their sidewalks, but there is pushback on some of the residents. If you go around town and you look, generally most of the areas are shoveled, and there are some very long sidewalks that people do shovel or snow blow. But then you go to other areas and it's not shoveled off. You know, and I've talked to some of these residents, and some of them are just straight dead set against doing it for whatever reason. but it is their responsibility. It is a liability. If somebody does fall on their sidewalk, they are responsible for that. And it should be, they should be shoveled, they should be salted. There should be an effort made at it to do a better job in some of these areas. Like if you go down Lakeshore Drive, there's long sections there that aren't shoveled, and that's one of the main places where people like to walk down, is down Lakeshore Drive. And when you drive down there now, you see people out in the middle of the street, and that just simply isn't safe. And that may be a liability to the city too, if somebody gets run over and the city hasn't been enforcing the snow ordinance. I'm not sure, but the city could be reliable for that too, which would mean the taxpayers. But I would like to see this ordinance enforced a little more, especially in the public areas and handicap spots and handicap ramps and things like that. Some cities, they have an inspector that goes and inspects the business districts after the snow, and then they leave the residential areas to complaint. If somebody was to call up and complain about a certain sidewalk, then the city inspects that sidewalk, determines whether or not it is a hazard, and then it's up to them to inform the owner to remove that snow and that ice. I should think that if the city went around at the start of the year and informed these people, that you would see most people comply, and you might have some hard cases, and that you might have to force them to start doing that somehow. But I think a warning, if people were given warnings, I just don't want to go out and start handing out, fines or bills or whatever, citations to these people, because some of them have legitimate reasons why they can't shovel their snow, but it still is their responsibility to be doing that. If you look at Arrowhead Lane here, Scott just did a beautiful job removing all the snow from there, and that's like 2 miles of freeway. Oh, for God's sakes.
Supposed to be on vibrate.
Well, we can open that up for discussion. That's no problem.
Yeah.
Open it up for discussion by the council and administrator. Any ideas?
Well, I would say that it's covered on page 72, section 5, the duties of the city officers. And then if there is a violation, and Mr. Lauer's brought that up, Councilor Lauer, there's a notice of violation. There's supposed to be a written notice. So I think it's more about people being aware. Being aware of it. I think that Phil's gone out and given people notice as far as, hey, when it's water pipes freeze and things of that nature, maybe we could send out a condensed version of this with a bill, possibly once a year, maybe at the beginning of the year, and say this is an ordinance, and giving notice, as you stated, is a great idea.
Or publishing it in the newspaper.
Could publish it, yeah.
At
There's
the start of the winter.
But we do have this already, and reinventing the wheel to me doesn't.
No, I'm not asking.
Doesn't make that much sense, but I think that doing what you're saying, giving notice, and
I'm just asking for us to,
Enforce what we have.
Enforce the ordinance that we already have.
Yeah.
In a manner that, is that we don't, anger too many people, and explain it to them in a way that they know that it has to be done. And it's also, there's something about when you're living in town and you have an elderly person or somebody that's handicapped living next to you, it is the neighborly thing to do, to go out and help them. So, and that does happen a lot in this town. There are a lot of people that go out and help the elderly or the handicapped with their driveways, and I'd like to see people to continue to do that. And if there are people in need of help, we need to talk to them and try to figure out some way that's feasible to help them. And to be able to get this information out to the business owners too. I'd say I'm a little more concerned about the public businesses, but I am concerned about the residences in places too. The Sioux Hill, that doesn't get shoveled too often, but when you have a plow that goes by and puts 3-4 feet of snow on your sidewalk, that is a lot to do. But then Phil goes around at times and will plow off the sidewalks in certain areas, the ones that he can. But sometimes that might take 3-4 days for them to get to that, and they don't always plow. I don't know what your rules are on what you plow for, like if there's 4 inches or less or something that you don't plow or like that. But sometimes the plow does not always go around. And some of these businesses and apartment complexes are just wait for that to happen, and that might be quite a while. And it can be rather difficult for people to walk around town at times. And of course, I realize that sometimes you get hit with double snowstorms and stuff like that right in a row, and it can be a very, very difficult. And people also have to keep in mind when they do shovel off the sidewalks that they're not shoveling it into areas that make Phil have to go and remove that snow. You don't want to be putting snow back out onto the street or putting it into somebody else's sidewalk, or when you plow your parking lots for businesses, a few of those businesses are plowing that snow up onto the city sidewalks along Arrowhead there, and that's just more work for the city to go and remove all that snow. And like I said, the city on Arrowhead there, they removed the snow from there yesterday. They did a very nice job. I'm greatly appreciative of that. But it's also up to the businesses along there that after the city comes and does the majority of the work, they need to sometimes go out there and do a little bit of finishing work and go out there and remove some of the snow that the city crews haven't been able to get, because we can't expect them to get it all. It's not their job to get all that. They're actually doing a favor for these business owners by plowing all that. And it is actually up to them to go out there and make sure that those sidewalks, the business owners and property owners, to make sure that those sidewalks are safe. I mean, there is a lot of foot traffic down Arrowhead Lane nowadays. You do see a lot of people walking from the grocery store back home with groceries to the manor and places like that. And I'd just like to make sure that those people have safe travel. And I just wanted to bring these issues up so the people of town are aware that there is a ordinance on this.
I know in the past we have put articles in the paper in the winter asking the people to remove their snow. Sometimes it's just a matter of reminding, but it goes beyond that, I know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I think Tim and Bryce and Scott can talk about, Phil and the team. There could be some
I
advertisement.
thought that we did put something in the paper.
Well, we do.
Did we put it on Facebook or did we put it in the paper?
I think we put it on the, I think before Steve left, he was showing me how to do website stuff. I think we put it on the website. I'm not sure we might have posted it in the paper also. But that was last year.
Last year we posted it, but we certainly can do more, I guess. A reminder, maybe even a monthly reminder.
It could be put in there
Yeah, right.
Monthly during the
Right.
year. And of course, not everybody
Right.
receives the newspaper, and that might be, if somebody had to go around at the start of the year and talk to some of these people, I think once you spoke to them once, most of them would comply.
I think we made it a chamber agenda item also, and we spoke about it at the chamber and asked them to put it out to all the businesses that are members. And they did that. We can request that again.
I can give something to Sally.
That's a good idea.
That they can stuff in the bills too, because that can.
That'll go to everybody. Yeah.
There's one other thing that I wanted to mention, and I forgot there, is that if it snows on a Friday afternoon downtown here, you go into the weekend and there still are 5 or 6 businesses open downtown here on the weekend, and on Sunday there are 3. But if it snows Friday afternoon, the downtown sidewalks don't get shoveled till Monday morning. And being in the business downtown here, there's many times I've had to go out and shovel the sidewalks downtown here, just to take it out, take it and do it myself. And you know, it's even the responsibility of the businesses that are up for sale, that are vacant, and the houses around town that are for sale. They need to be shoveled too. That should be up to the realtor or the owner of the property to figure that out. But weekends can be difficult downtown here if we get a lot of snow. So, I mean, it's actually 24/7 that this is supposed to be enforced. And I would like to see an effort by some of these other businesses to remove snow on Saturdays and Sundays.
Very good. Any more comments by the council? I think we're all in
I
agreement.
think my thought is that I think that most of it this goes back to the point of people being educated on what is what. I mean, you talk to some people and you get the attitude, well, it's an act of nature, so act of nature will get rid of it. I mean, it's a little bit on the wrong way of looking at it, but
Right. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to 6M, vehicle removal on public streets for snow plowing.
Something else that I had put on here, I realize that Phil does go around and tells some of these vehicles to move. Downtown here, there can be sometimes, depending upon how many renters are in the apartments, sometimes you can have 4 or 5 vehicles that are on the street. I take it upon myself sometimes to ask some of them to move, but I'm not sure where I should tell them to move to in that. And they'll just go move and then leave their car there for 3-4 days or something like that at a time. Which, the reason why I bring this up is because Phil already has a very difficult job here to remove all this snow. And I realize that. And if it's another issue of informing these people, if we could just get the information out to them that they need to move their vehicles, so the snowplow drivers can go about their job in a quicker, faster way, and not to have to come back and redo things once or twice or 3 times or whatever it takes. But for some of the apartment complexes, maybe if a person was to drop off a letter at the apartment complexes and tell them what the actual rules are in the areas where they could move to, if they just want them to rotate them. Sometimes they will rotate them, but they'll move it the first time, but then they won't rotate it back, and that just makes another problem for the street crews. So if we could get these people to move their vehicles, if I could get information where I should tell these people to move, but as I would like to see a city employee that has the authority to tell them this. As a business owner, when I was doing it at the theater, sometimes they would just say, well, who are you to tell me where to park? And I think it's just, once again, informing these people. And if you did it at the start of the year, they would move their vehicles, and then snow plowing from then on would be
Hopefully
would be easier. And I do realize that you do take your time to tell and communicate with some of these people, but some of them just haven't listened, or they just don't know yet. So I'd like to see some information given to the people of the town and the businesses on removing their vehicles from the street.
I could see where Phil and Bryce working together to take care of that. I would think if a serious attempt should be by the police to tell them to move if they're not. I can understand why you have Phil at times, But if it, I would say go directly to police if it has to be a second time or it becomes a problem.
For problem issues.
Yeah.
So sometimes in the past, like Spencer used to put signs in the snowbank sometimes. My problem is I don't, like if I was gonna remove the cars from downtown here, which I'm just trying to help you out, sometimes I don't know when you're going to be plowing, so sometimes I've asked them to move and then it doesn't get plowed because you're too busy or you got things to do. I'm not complaining in any way here.
Yeah.
But these people just need to move their vehicles.
If I can, the vehicle issue, I think Phil and the police department do a pretty good job, including climbing into other people's vehicles and moving them for them. I would say if you see that the plow has gone by, move your vehicle.
To add to that, we come by multiple times.
Yep.
We take off layers and layers. Yeah, the first time we take 95% off, but we come back and we come again and again. And it is a routine thing. It's a routine thing citywide, countywide, statewide. It's how snow removal works. And I mean, I understand it's nice, and we get the complaints too. We come by and we fill someone's driveway in, and guess what? We come back again. During this last storm, each of my guys ran their routes 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
5 times. I ran mine 6 times.
Yeah, I'm not,
So it's a lot. No, and
I'm not saying that you're not.
But I mean, for the public to know as well, because we
Mhm.
do that a lot too. We already came by. Well, I mean, sorry, but to remove it all, and to remove it all safely, we're gonna come by a lot more.
okay,
So
thanks for bringing that up and explaining that.
The easiest example of the vehicle thing was literally outside of our window. I think that car was parked there 6 days after the first snowfall. And it's very simple. Day one, if you see the plow went by, it's not even a matter of where. Just literally park your car anywhere that the plow's gone by. Move it to the other side of the street. I don't care. Move it up the street, 2 parking spots. That's fine. Just anywhere that the plow has gone by, move it. We'll be good. I think we've talked about it a little bit. You know, everybody gets a warning, a fair shake, and I think there's a number of people that talk to Phil a little bit more regularly about, hey, I'm gonna run outside and move my car. If you want to swing by, Phil comes by, cleans it up, no big deal. If it happens second time, yeah, you're probably getting towed, and so be it. So
There are times when there are more cars downtown. Right now, there isn't, some of the apartments are vacant, so there's not as many vehicles downtown right now, and I don't think the Old Carroll Inn has anybody, I don't even know if there's anybody living up there
I
with
think there's
vehicles.
one.
there
Just
sure
one.
is.
And may not have a vehicle. Yeah. Good points, thank you. It's appreciated.
And thank you, Phil, for doing a good job.
Very good. Council members, anything to add? None? Thank you. Moving on to 6N gambling permit.
That is one of the items on your table. Sturgeon Lake Lions would like to have a raffle. This is a part of Ice Bocce, isn't it? Oh, for the fishing tournament. Okay. So anyways, Sturgeon Lake Lions would like to host a raffle.
Very good. Do I have a motion by the council?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
There we go. Do I have any questions or discussion?
I lost my place somewhere.
Look on number 6 on the main agenda.
There.
Went too far.
I think you got too far, or it's right over here.
I got too many pieces of paper here all of a
I
sudden.
think, look here. There we go.
Now I'm back.
Okay, now this is an addition and
Probably should have.
is a gambling permit. And there'll be one more below that O, which is a police department printer.
Yeah, so you just fill those in.
We don't need
Yeah.
to.
I did on my other paper, but
Okay.
it's
Okay, did we have a second?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose? Motion carried. 6O is Police Department printer.
This would be a color printer for the police department so that can stop driving over to City Hall to print things out in color. This is in their capital improvement section of their budget, although they spent like $70 too much. That comes out of somewhere.
Is this the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, council, do I have a motion to approve?
So made.
Do I have a second?
Second? Oh, go ahead, Walt.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on, number 7, reports and correspondence. I think we've already read the letters that we received, so none there. Moving on to number 8, which is committee and board meeting minutes. 8A is the Moose Lake Power regular meeting minutes from November 20th. That should be in your packet. We also have the Moose Lake Power special meeting minutes for November 20th. We have number C, the Moose Lake Economic Development Authority minutes for December 12th. I'm going to do those 3 and then talk about the fire district. So any questions or on, well, we don't need a motion for those.
Nope.
But 8A, B, or C on the minutes? No questions, discussion, go, very good. Moving on to 8D, the fire district. In your handout is the Fire One report. The first page is the number of calls for December. They had 23 calls for the month. And if you turn to the next page is the annual report. And for the year of 2018, the fire department responded, or they had 412 calls. And it gives a breakdown of all the different events that happened on. As you can see, there's quite a few events that they responded to. If you go down halfway through the first page, it kind of gives a breakdown of the area. The city of Moose Lake had 186. Moose Lake Township had 84. Silver Township had 15. Windermere Township had 90. And out of the area, 37. Those are the responses that the fire department did. So a lot of stuff for the year, and there's more information on the back. Of total hours, there's 2,598 hours response time. So a lot of calls, and they did a great job. And thank you to the fire department. Moving on to number 9, announcements. Regular Moose Lake City Council meeting Wednesday, February 13th, 4 p.m. right here. Moose Lake Economic Development Authority Wednesday, February 13th, 12 p.m. at the City Conference Room. Moose Lake Water and Light Commission regular meeting Tuesday, January 15th at 3 p.m. Water and Light Office. Moose Lake Housing Redevelopment Authority Board, January 14th, 11 a.m., Hillside Manor Office. Moose Lake Fire District, Tuesday, January 15th. Now, this has already happened. It would be February 12th, yeah. That'd be the next one for you. February 12th at 6:30 at the Emergency Response Center. Moose Lake Park Board meeting Monday, February 4th. Actually, we have one next Monday. We rescheduled the one from this last Monday, and it'll be,
The weather?
yes. So that, what is that? Monday is the 14th? January 14th, 6:30, right here. Library Board meeting, January 14th, 1 p.m., City Conference Room. And that's all I have. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Actually, we need 2 meetings.